Welcome back. The 2016 P&G Women in Business Expo will be staged at the Hardware House Steamships compound in Port Moresby from the 15th to the 25th of this month. Prominent businesswomen from all around the country visited the venue earlier this week to have a glimpse. President of Women in Business, Janet Sape, said they are hoping to have 200 to 300 businesswomen for the expo. Jacqueline Yala with this report.
Almost a total of 100 prominent businesswomen from around the country have registered already to participate in this year's Expo. Variety of their products will be displayed on shelves during the Expo. Early this week, a group of women visited the venue on which they will be putting up their stalls.
Because it's a place where the small woman can feel she's important and she has a talent and a skill and a little business that she feels that she has a chance of growing it and making herself economically empowered. So we're very happy to see them here. They're all excited, as you can see.
The Steamships Hardware House was given to them freely by the CPL group of companies with the support from NCD Governor Powers Parkop. Registration is still open for interested women around the country. Women have come from Gulf and other provinces, basically to promote arts and crafts.
We promote art and craft because when tourists or whoever comes in, they see us from the varieties of things that we put, and our things, when we explain, we represent the provinces in our art and craft.
The expo will also promote culture and women's safety.
We've been sitting informal, otherwise there are some disturbances that we are unable to sit down peacefully. There is no safety. They come in fear. And by producing this area, it is just an opportunity to welcome the outside world. They are feeling safe, and I'm encouraging those craft mothers who have no space, who are aimlessly walking here and there. It doesn't cost us anything.
Papua New Guinea businesswomen living abroad also play a role to promote local businesswomen.
To them to sort of focus on small businesswomen, that there's other stuff that I'm also going to bring in from Indonesia, and they are direct from the factory.
Jacqueline Yala, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
Overseas, Australia has been warned not to deal with Britain ahead of the EU when it comes to trade. European politicians disappointed by the Brexit vote have confronted Australian ministers about a proposed new deal with Britain.
In the Parliament in Brussels, the beating heart of European bureaucracy, two of our nation's top ministers held talks about an EU free trade deal.
My clear message from Australia's experience is that free trade agreements drive economic growth and deliver jobs.
But during a special hearing, they were confronted by MPs who are concerned Australia is also discussing a future agreement with Britain, a country that recently decided to exit their organisation.
You cannot dance with two people at once, and if you want to get a serious trade deal with the European Union, you will have to focus on the European Union and make that your sole negotiations. You can't have side deals and side negotiations with the United Kingdom.
Our nation seems to be on board the Brexit bus, even though the UK isn't out the EU's door. And it was the Trade Minister's trip to London this week that raised the ire of MPs.
They're upset that they've lost the referendum. You've got to look at it from a perspective they didn't think they'd be in this situation.
For Australia's top diplomat, Brexit is a delicate balancing act. Julie Bishop simultaneously pushing for closer ties with Downing Street and trying to make new friends that can help us on the continent.
But all agreements with the EU are overly complex because they involve 28 different countries, and several of those simply don't care about Australia. So the message coming from many in here is get the EU free trade deal done first before even speaking to Britain, or else risk missing out altogether.
United States President Barack Obama has branded Republican presidential hopeful Donald Trump wacky and misinformed after he described Russian President Vladimir Putin as a better leader. Mr. Trump's remarks came during a televised Commander-in-Chief forum.
It's quite an extraordinary thing he did last night. He managed to feint and dodge between all of these questions. The presenter of that forum last night has been heavily criticised, but Donald Trump managed to say in front of a military audience that the generals of the United States were an embarrassment, and that Vladimir Putin was a strong leader, and he had 82% approval, so therefore he must be doing something right. Even today, his vice presidential pick, Governor Mike Pence, was asked only a few minutes ago, do you support these statements? Do you agree with him? And honestly, I can't remember him actually saying, yes, he's right, when referring to Donald Trump. He simply said the American people are troubled and moved off in that direction. So, no, to set Donald Trump straight, let's hear from President Obama.
I can tell you from the interactions that I've had over the last 8 or 9 days with foreign leaders that this is serious business. And you actually have to know what you're talking about, and you actually have to have done your homework. And when you speak, it should actually reflect thought-out policy that you can implement. And I think the most important thing for the public and the press is to just listen to what he says and follow up and ask questions about what appear to be either contradictory or uninformed or outright wacky ideas.
What is interesting about hearing Barack Obama come out, though, is you get a sense that it's not just Barack Obama. It was Vice President Biden yesterday. It was also the former Democrat candidate, Senator Bernie Sanders. You've obviously got Michelle Obama, the First Lady, coming out tomorrow. You've had a bunch of senior Democrats as well coming out talking in support of Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump has got Donald Trump. He's obviously got his running mate as well, as I mentioned. But the only senior Republican that's come out and supported him on a regular basis is the party chairman, Reince Priebus. Even today, the most senior Republican in the House, Speaker Paul Ryan, was asked about these comments about that Donald Trump had made about the Russian President Vladimir Putin. And his comment was simply, Putin is an aggressor and he does not share our interests. And when he was pressed, well, do you support your candidate? He stopped and he just said, I'll leave it at that. And that's quite extraordinary when you think the Republicans are really, really getting, once again nervous. And this forum last night does not bode well for a very intense, 15 million people tuned in last night. Tens of millions will tune in for that first debate in a couple of weeks' time. And Donald Trump can expect to get a lot more harder questions and follow-up questions as well.
NBC National News continues after the break. Stay with us.